2 days.
UN has also said that no aid has been distributed in Gaza, shocking absolutely no one. And most of the aid that they even sent in, which was just to, tell people to shut the fuck up about it. And the aid that they actually even sent in was 1% of the aid necessary. And even then, out of the 5 trucks that they sent in daily, the majority of the trucks had fucking shrouds, like body bags for dead people. Yeah, or not majority, 45%. Israel only allowed 1% of the daily required aid into Gaza, and half of that aid was fucking body bags, dude. 5 out of the 9 aid trucks allowed in Gaza contain shrouds to wrap the dead daily. A total of 87 aid trucks have entered the Gaza Strip so far. Supplies have been allocated to various international and local institutions as a part of the ongoing efforts to distribute them to the Palestinian people and meet part of their urgent humanitarian needs. I think yesterday was the first day where they let in flour. The first day. It is a live streamed Holocaust. It is evil beyond words can comprehend. Evil beyond comprehension. The IOF is collaborating with a gang of thieves, otherwise known as Yasser Abu Shabab gang, to steal humanitarian aid on the Salah al-Din Road. Palestinians in Gaza have spotted Israeli occupying force drones and other machinery filming a staged theft of aid to later pin it on Hamas. I think they're trying to do staged theft of aid, or they're trying to literally fucking get those guys to steal the aid. Half the time they're getting them to steal the fucking aid and literally offering protective cover with drones while they steal the aid. It is insane stuff, man. It is insane. It's insanity. Yes, in 80 days was the first time in 80 days where flour shipments just reached select bakeries in Gaza, those operating under agreements with the World Food Program. This is why, while this is happening in the background, I don't care when people are like, oh, well, my concern is the feelings of Jewish people living in the West. Like, I don't care. That is not my concern at all. I'm sorry. Like, anti-Semitism is unacceptable. But if you are going to keep cynically fucking using anti-Semitism as a shield in this circumstance, like, the fuck are you doing? What are you doing? What are you, like, how do you live with yourself, dude? How can you be that fucking selfish? The true anti-Semitism in that regard is the fucking Israeli state claiming that they're starving, they're doing a Holocaust and saying they're doing it for Judaism. And you're more worried about like a rat emoji that Gary Lineker posted on his fucking Instagram story. You are a pathetically unserious person. If that is your hyper focus, it is so fucking insincere. You are an insincere, unserious, monstrous piece of shit. Okay? Especially when the nation that you're running cover for constantly depicts Palestinians as rats. Anyone that stands in opposition to the total and utter depravity of Israel, anyone that stands in opposition to those who are exposing the total and utter depravity of Israel is not a serious person. That's just the case. You can cry about it. You can say like, oh, dude, Zionists at this stage should not even be elected to the local dog catcher position. Wow, how dangerous and dehumanizing is this rhetoric? Yeah, maybe it's dangerous and dehumanizing to you because you want to defend Israel and not feel bad about it. Or maybe it's dangerous and dehumanizing to you because you're completely oblivious to the fucking atrocities that Israel is committing on a daily fucking basis. But it doesn't change the reality at all. Okay? It doesn't change the reality on the fucking ground at all. So if you're hyper-focused in this moment, if your hyper-focus in this moment is like the feelings of your favorite content creator or whatever some goddamn slop tuber is saying, you are a pathetic, worm-like individual. You are not a human being at that point. You have dehumanized yourself. You have become a straight up, inadvertent soldier of fascism.
After aid began entering Gaza, the United Nations says that none of the supplies have yet reached local people, and that is despite the easing of Israel's 11-week blockade. The UN says despite trucks reaching the Palestinian side of the Kerem Shalom crossing, no aid has been distributed so far. They say they've been waiting for Israeli military permission to collect the supplies, but this has not been given. A BBC correspondent also says that lorry drivers have slept overnight in their vehicle cabins. 93 trucks entered Gaza on Tuesday, carrying aid including flour, baby food, medical equipment and pharmaceutical drugs. Well, meanwhile, Palestinian media are reporting that deadly airstrikes have continued. While the blockade of aid has drawn sharp condemnation from Western allies. The UK is pausing free trade negotiations with Israel, and it announced sanctions on individuals and entities involved in the settler movement in the occupied West Bank. And the European Union voted on Tuesday to review the bloc's ties with Israel, that measure backed by an overwhelming majority of member states. Well, Israel has condemned the EU's decision.
Like, no free trade agreement for the future is such a silly fucking thing to do. I get it. They haven't said anything thus far, so like every kind of statement in the correct direction is welcomed here. But like, understand how ridiculous that is. No, dude, sanctions now. Sanctions now. And then if they don't follow through, coalition of the willing. It's ridiculous. Do you want to stop the bloodshed or not? Israel seemingly is hellbent on death and destruction. You can't, on the one hand, recognize the bloodshed, but on the other hand, be like, our hands are fucking tied. We have to keep giving them weapons. Like, it's crazy.
It accuses Brussels of completely misunderstanding the situation and providing encouragement to Hamas. Well, let's cross over live to our Middle East correspondent, Yolande Nell, who joins us from Jerusalem. And I think, Yolande, should we just start with where the aid is at the moment? Our understanding is...
Sanctions for settlers were blocked in EU Council. God, the Europeans are such depraved little freaks, too.
It's crossed over into the Palestinian side of the Kerem Shalom crossing, but it is currently stuck there. Do we know why?
Well, the system requires that once these lorry loads of aid have undergone security checks, they just take them through Israel's main crossing, the Kerem Shalom crossing into Gaza. That aid is then offloaded, and it requires lorries which are hired by the UN with local drivers inside the Gaza Strip to come and pick up that aid. Now, what we've been told is that those UN teams in Gaza waited for hours yesterday, but were not given the green light by the Israeli military to advance and access those supplies, to take them off to warehouses and to those who really need them. We have been asking for updates this morning, but we've not heard anything yet from either the UN or from the Israeli military or from...
Well, do you think Europeans are actually that much different from Americans? No. In some ways, they're worse. In other ways, I expect them to at least have like a little bit of decency. Perhaps I'm wrong perhaps I'm wrong for making this, having this expectation, but like Europeans are proud people, okay? And this allegiance that they have with Israel is born out of their status as a vassal continent to American interest. Okay? So I hope that there are some competing motivators here. Competing motivators, like on the one hand, you're like, okay, I don't really care that they're killing Muslims. It's great, whatever, but maybe they've killed too many Muslims. And also, on the other hand, you're like, we are getting bullied by Donald Trump and the United States of America. Like, my expectation is that there's only so much bullying they'll take from America before they go, all right, we gotta do our own thing here. No, I'm talking about fucking politicians, of course. There's also the other aspect of this where, like, Western liberal democracies aside, like Europeans are particularly sensitive to being directly at odds with their population. So when you see massive crowds forming in the pro-Palestinian movement on European capitals, my expectation is that they might be more sensitive to that kind of democratic pressure than the American government is. But once again, it's just like Western liberal democracy is a farcical position. It's a lie that we've told ourselves. It's a lie that we've told ourselves to feel like we have evolved beyond that feudal structure that we once maintained. You know, we're no longer living under a monarch. Come on, we're proud. We have a proud tradition of liberalism. No real democratic process is taking place. It's just a fucking utter lie. And the more contradictions worsen, the more glaringly obvious this becomes.
From the Israeli military body that controls the crossings to indicate what is going on. Of course, there are these big logistical and safety issues. The UN has been highlighting that about picking up the aid and distributing it at a time when Israel has been intensifying its military offensive in the Gaza Strip. And one of my colleagues who was at this crossing yesterday said that they did see, heavy bombardment going on not far away from there.
And this is what the Israeli army is describing as a large-scale offensive in Gaza. So what are we expecting?
So what we've continued to see is Israel bombing parts of the Gaza Strip overnight, with more people killed across the Strip. At least 20 of them, according to the Hamas-run civil defense. In particular, we've seen people fleeing in the past couple of days from Khan Yunis, which is not far from this Kerem Shalom crossing, after the Israeli military issued evacuation orders telling people to leave there and to head westwards towards the coast for their own safety. There is this ground operation that is going on in both the north and the southern part of the Strip. And we had the Israeli military's chief of staff saying yesterday, this coming after all of the international criticism that there'd been, basically indicating that Israel's military course is not changing due to the external pressure that there's been, and also some domestic criticism too. He said that the plan was to expand the maneuver in Gaza to destroy the terrorist infrastructure until Hamas is defeated.
And just when it comes to the movement of these people, where are they being moved to? What kind of facilities are there? Is there even a humanitarian area now in Gaza, given the destruction of the whole Strip?
I mean, what we've seen in both the south of Gaza yesterday...
Is Israel's plan to literally just continue the genocide regardless of outside pressure? Yes, until America fucking reins Israel in, until there's enough pressure coming from European parties that causes America to also come across like a pariah. Because this isn't just about like Israel being a pariah state. Israel already is a pariah state in the collective consciousness of the entire world. Israel has always been a pariah state for the global south, and now it is even a pariah state in the minds of the populations in the Western world, even in a place like the United States of America. A lot of this stuff takes time, unfortunately. It doesn't happen overnight. Partially because no one is speaking out on these atrocities with the clear language that I do, for example, or independent content creators do. If mainstream media, that's why I've been saying, like, if mainstream media was covering truthfully Israel's behavior post-October 7, the things that you're seeing now, it would not have taken 19 months to get here, okay? It would not have taken 19 months to get to the point. It would have gotten to this point way before 19 months. The reason why you are constantly wondering, like, why the fuck does nobody care? Like, do they not see these atrocities that I'm seeing? The answer, unfortunately, is yes. Yes, they aren't seeing it. That's why I cover mainstream coverage on the issue all the fucking time. The reason why I do that is because I need you guys to develop a better understanding of how poorly or I mean, I guess their job is to literally propagandize Israel's position as a valid one. But I show how poorly they're covering this stuff deliberately by design, so you aren't confused when you hear from your parents an entirely separate worldview. And in spite of this narrative, it's obvious that people still recognize right from wrong.
From the Khan Yunis area, people...
Hamas deserves it, not the poor civilians. Hamas is the poor civilians. Like, at this stage, you're still saying Hamas deserves it, not the poor civilians. Who do you think Hamas is? Hamas is just a name, chatter. That's it. It's just a name. It is the current iteration of Palestinian militancy. That's it. Haha, no, they aren't, big dog. Wait, what? Who comprises Hamas? Who is taking up arms? Do you think it's like Hamas isn't the same? Yes, they are from other countries as well. What? No, they're not. What the fuck are you talking? They're from other countries? You know Gaza is a fucking enclosure, right? So is the U.S. border. You think the Israeli control over a tiny fucking minuscule open air prison with 2 million population that's round the clock surveilled, where Israel maintains the population registry of every single Palestinian living in every single fucking home before they bombed it, of course, is akin to the porous South America, the porous southern border of the United States? Are you out of your fucking mind? Also, again, projection. If you think that's true, you are lost. I'm lost. You just said Hamas is comprised of outside entities. You know whose military is comprised of outsiders and foreigners that also, get an Israeli citizenship because they're Jewish? Israel. When your fucking neighbor flies out to Tel Aviv to go fucking fight with the IDF as a reservist, that's a foreigner. Okay? That is actually a foreigner. It's pure projection. Hamas is comprised entirely of orphaned Palestinians. It is an orphan army. Yes, I'm aware, but Hamas isn't the same as civilians. You're wrong on that front. It is exactly the same as the civilians. Hamas is just the civilians that engage in the legal act of organizing a spontaneous militia. Okay? They, by the way, not only have a legal right to do so when Israel is, as a belligerent occupier, bombing the Gaza Strip, Israel is engaging in an illegal act, whereas Hamas, comprised of the orphaned Palestinians, are absolutely engaging in a legal act. Not only is it a legal act, but it is also a moral one. What would you do is the question I have for you. If the Israeli occupier, if a much more powerful military came to your home, raped and pillaged everything, destroyed your fucking ancestral homelands, killed half of your fucking family, what would you do? You'd take up arms too, especially when the peace process was manipulated in the most indecent way. You can't call combatants civilians. They're not the same. First of all, they are comprised of the Palestinian population. That's the point I'm trying to make. And secondly, there is also a civilian branch of Hamas as well. That's why people fucking constantly say, oh, Hamas run health ministry. Yeah, it is. So no, there are, of course, civilians in fucking Hamas as well. Dumb fuck. There's a difference between the Al-Qassam brigades, which is the militant wing of Hamas, and the Hamas internal affairs. Like Ismail Haniyeh, for example, the principal negotiator that was assassinated by Israel. He was not an enemy combatant. He was a civilian. He was not only a civilian, but also the negotiator that was negotiating at the behest of Hamas, at the behest of the Palestinian population. What do I tell people who say peacefully protest to that question? That's so insane because that's a lie. They wouldn't just peacefully fucking protest. Or even if they chose to peacefully protest, Israel would probably kill them as they did with the hundreds of people that they shot that were marching peacefully in the Great March of Return in 2018. But outside of that, even if they peacefully fucking protested, and let's say they didn't die, would they actually tell their neighbor to put their arms down? No, they'd be like, thank you for defending me, neighbor. I'll give you a great example of this double standard. Okay, I've tweeted about this before. If you think that coming from a PCM side of things, you don't understand how people get in. So how did Hamas get arms? Don't get mad, big dog. First of all, there are a multitude of different ways that Hamas gets arms. Some of them are actually very embarrassing for Israel because it's arms that they take from Israeli soldiers. But also, yes, there are tunnels. There are tunnels under Rafah. I understand that. But if you think that Hamas is entirely comprised or even majority comprised of outsiders, you are fucking delusional. Israel has more foreigners in its ranks that have come to Israel just to fight alongside the IDF than Hamas does. Okay? So you can't get people in. It is an incredibly difficult. No, you said Hamas is outsiders. They have outsiders amongst their ranks. You're a fucking moron. But as far as like how Hamas has weapons, they make them. It's artisanal, okay? Farm to table. That's why I always jokingly say they have bathtub rockets. Think about the diaper brigade, by the way, that gets fucking exploded while they're on their way to go kill another Palestinian child by a dude who made a rocket in a fucking bathtub from unexploded ordnance, okay? I'm not your little bro, brother. I'm a 33-year-old man. To your point earlier about watching MSM, to be fair, even MSM coverage is considerably more critical of Israel than what a lot of existing Israel defenders are absorbing at this point. I've been told CNN, WAPO, New York Times, Haaretz, Times of Israel, BBC, AP, Reuters are all anti-Israel at times. What do you even say to that? Yeah, I mean, they're fucking lost their minds. I've been trying to get other Brits, forgive me, to understand by comparing Hamas to the IRA. Do you think this is a good comparison? I mean, it depends. Do they hate the IRA? It is a good comparison. I use that comparison all the time. The problem is British people also think the IRA is a terror organization and it's fucking bad and fucked up. Speaking of the IRA, by the way...
Well, heading towards Al-Mawasi, this was originally set up among these sand dunes on the coast as what the Israeli military called a humanitarian zone, although aid agencies have rejected that description. At the moment, we're also seeing people who have headed from the western part and the north, from the eastern part and the north of the Gaza Strip westwards, also going towards the coast, people setting up their tents along the beach. But there are very few facilities in these areas, and this coming at a time where already we're told that there are these severe shortages of food, of water in Gaza, of medicines as well. All of that desperately needed, and still the struggle going on to get any aid into Gaza.